Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Oh, great.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
everyone.
Hi. Dustin, do we have enough to get started?
Yes, Dr. McMurray, we do.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I was trying to wrap up another meeting. I apologize. Hey, so with that, okay, so good afternoon. The April 14th, 2025 special meeting of the Charter Authorization Panel is called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Arkansas Department of Education and ask that you please silence all your electronic devices. The goal is to facilitate a fair and responsible hearing. So therefore, I ask that each person speaking please state your name and title each time you speak into the microphone for the record. I ask that you continue to speak clearly into the microphone throughout your presentation for the benefit of the panel, this audience, and the viewing audience. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and a transcript of the meeting will be posted on the DESE website. So again, good afternoon. Thank you for all the panel members that were able to hop on at the last minute for this special meeting. We do have one action item today. And so I believe at this point, Mr. Schultz from legal is going to come forward and give us some details. If that's the case, would you come forward so you can have an overview of the procedures for today?
Thank you, Dr. Murray. Given that this meeting won't have any presentations outside of those from the department, we would merely set out that this is a consideration of a request to voluntarily assign a charter from Amphra Charter School to Exalt Charter School, which will transfer all rights and obligations under the charter contract.
So again, our action item today, it sounds like, is a request by Arkansas Military and First Responders Academy to voluntarily transfer its charter to Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock. Um, so, Mr. Smith, do you have any, can you come forward?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Sorry.
online here. No, I know there's a whole lot of people online trying to
It's
figure out what
weird.
faces are there and what's not. So, thank you, Daryl Smith, Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Education. As Dr. McMurray Wright has stated, the Arkansas Military and First Responder Academy has requested a voluntary request of a transfer of their charter to Exalt Academy. To give you a little bit of background on why we're here, the AMFRA organization, their board has experienced a great deal of organizational and financial some issues related to Operation Financial Viability. One of those being that their nonprofit status had been revoked by the IRS. By doing that, but upon that revocation, it limits what the state can do in response to funding the school. And so the best way to resolve the situation, the least disruptive way to resolve the situation, was to assign the charter to another nonprofit. The reason Exalt Academy was chosen is Exalt Academy is, they exist in the same general area. In fact, their main campus is just less than a mile away from Amphra's current location. They were in the process of already moving and growing into a different location, which we'll hear about later on Thursday as far as the amendment that they have put before this panel. But because they are a well-functioning school, a highly regarded school in Southwest Little Rock, it would seem like that the best fit for transferring the charter would be to someone that's in the area, that knew the area well, and that could provide the least disruptive environment for both families, students, and faculty up on at Amphra. So at this time, we would respectfully ask that the panel approve the request by the board of the Arkansas Military and First Responder Academy to transfer its charter to Exalt. I will say this, that both boards, the board of Amphra and the board of Exalt, have been made aware of the situation. They both talked through the switch, and they both voted either to transfer the the charter or to accept the transfer should it be approved by this panel.
I did see that there is somebody on for Exalt.
Correct. The superintendent for Exalt Academy, Tina Long, is joining us as well if there's any specific questions about maybe their readiness to accept the transfer.
So before we open for questions, I'd just like to at least provide an opportunity to swear her in so that we can make sure that that's for the record as well. All those that are going to be giving testimony on behalf, please stand and raise your right hand. I cannot see you. But I'll just try to get over. There she is. Perfect. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect. So with that, I know we already heard from Mr. Schultz, so we don't need to have him to come back up to provide any more detail, unless there are any legal concerns we need to be aware of at this time.
I would have a question just about process for Mr. Schultz. Just trying to think back through my experience.
So yeah, if you'll come forward, Mr. Schultz, and then we do have some questions.
Yes, sir. Daniel Schultz, Department Counsel.
Mine is mostly about the process for and terminology we're using. I've never really thought about sort of assigning or transferring a charter. It feels like, from my experience, that wouldn't we have to amend Exalt's charter and revoke AMFRA's charter to be able to pull this off the way that it's being proposed?
No, sir. In fact, this is a situation that's explicitly contemplated in code. So again, charters are basically contracts, and contract assignment is a fundamental principle of contract law. So what we're doing here is the statute gives this body and ultimately the state board oversight of the process, basically a veto, but the two parties can agree to transfer the contract. That's called an assignment. And and again, it's simply up to this body to agree to allow that transfer to go forward. So you could stop it, but you can also simply allow it.
And so you're going to have to enlighten me on what transfer and assignment means then. Is everything that exists at present under AMFRA, waivers, debt, obligations, finances, facilities, all of those are if we vote on that, we're transferring them to Exalt, and Exalt is agreeing to absorb all of that immediately?
That's correct. Essentially, Exalt will take the place of AMFRA in the contract. There are some hold harmless provisions in code, so any infractions or any sort of issues which you might otherwise take enforcement action over will not be imputed to Exalt, so they don't have to worry about taking on those liabilities as far as your enforcement authority. But as far as a financial matter or powers and authorities, all the duties and all the obligations of the contract will simply now be Exalt's when before they were AMFRA's, and the contract ownership itself.
Any issues that brought AMFRA to this point today where they're voluntarily requesting this, if they're negative financial, whatever, those are not transferred to Exalt. I don't want Tina and her team to be in a position of absorbing something that, I want to make sure I understand, but that they understand exactly what they're taking on.
That's right. Now, obviously, they will essentially be taking on the obligation of fixing those issues to the degree that they exist, but they don't have to worry about enforcement action by this body. There are hold harmless provisions in the law that protect them from that sort of action.
Okay. I may have other questions, but that may stop my legal question right now. Somebody else may have other.
I see Dr. Moore's hand raised. Is your question for legal or is it for the charter?
I think it's for legal.
Okay.
Because this is new territory for me. And in addition to sort of what Dr. Bacon was saying, normally if a charter is adding another campus, we have to approve that. So is this meeting and this movement action that we take sort of like a 2-for-1? Like it's the same as if Exalt was coming before us wanting to add another, that we're reviewing that. And if not, just a little more information there. And then number two, do all the way, and if I missed this and if it was said, I'm sorry, do all the waivers that were already existing remain, or are they now going to be whatever waivers Exalt had under their charter?
No, and I apologize, I may have failed to explicitly articulate that earlier. The waivers will come with the contract. So the waivers are a part of the contract. And so every waiver that AMFRA was the beneficiary of, now Exalt will be the beneficiary of. So again, it's the contract. So Exalt will hold the contract pursuant to the exact same terms that AMFRA held the contract to.
Okay, but just for that LEA?
Yes, just for that LEA.
Okay, and then the first part of my question then, is this where this is going to serve the same purpose as if Exalt came to us and wanted to request a new campus, or no? This has nothing to do with that.
It won't have any effect on any other charters that Exalt may have. So I'm not sure. Their charters will still be their charters. That's just a separate conversation that we're not having today.
So maybe let me step in, the Daryl Smith, Department of Education. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't amend their current contract, as Mr. Schultz was saying. If they, I believe on Thursday, when our regularly scheduled CAP meeting, they will come before us with an amendment request to add a high school to their current charter. This was done prior to any of this, some of these things coming up. So that's a separate issue, which we will address on Thursday. But this particular issue doesn't impact that necessarily, as that we're not adding to their charter. They're just, at this point, as Mr. Schultz alluded to, taking over the current contract that AMFRA has, and not necessarily adding to their own contract or to their own charter.
So Ms. Stewart, you have a question?
Yes, Edie Stewart, just a quick question. So this is, then the current contract would run until the end of this school year for AMFRA? Is that they would absorb?
I apologize. I couldn't quite understand that, if that question was for me.
Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. It's just a little
Okay, sorry.
echoey, I guess.
So just wondering about the contract length. So AMFRA's you're talking about AMFRA's contract rolling into Exalt. It's just for this school year, correct? To finish out the school year?
I believe that's correct. I'll invite Daryl to revise and extend, but when it would be for the term of the contract as it's currently stated and currently held by AMFRA. I don't have that information in front of me.
So, yeah, Daryl Smith, Department of Education. So again, to extend to what Mr. Schultz was alluding to, the contract, I mean, they're taking over the contract as it exists. Based on some of the actions that this body might take in future, in maybe, let's just say in Thursday, to amend the contract or amend the charter to add a new campus. At that point, that may effectively, at the end of the school year, we would potentially, again with an affirmative vote from this body, cancel the current contract or revoke the current contract and put it all under a new contract or the amended contract for Exalt. So there's a little bit of kind of, as we work through the process, this is the first step that's necessary in order for us. And I don't know if I alluded to this in my opening statement, but at this point, the state cannot supply AMFRA with any money. So they are unable to receive money, for ADM money, to pay their staff, to pay their bills, to pay any of that. So for this purpose today, we're trying to establish a new body that will operationally run the school so that we, as the state, can then provide the finances necessary to finish out the school year. Then, next step, as Exalt comes before this body on Thursday, and we address the issue of their amending their charter to add a new high school to their charter, then that would then have some, um, I guess, effects, or would then affect what we're, the actual contract that they're taking over. Does that make sense? So it, it's a kind of a process that we have to go through. Once transferred, then we have to, then Exalt has to have their amendment approved. Once their amendment is approved, and at that point, we will then address this current contract and what needs to happen with the current contract that they've taken over from Amfra.
Thank you for that. So do we have any other questions at this time for Mr. Schultz?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay, Ms. Newton, you're recognized.
Can either party, revoke this request at any time, or, appeal? Again, I know it's voluntary on both sides, but is there a provision, for this for folks to change their mind? Either way. And I wanted to know, I don't know that I completely understand, why this couldn't be taken care of, on Thursday, prior to, the charter requesting that they add in the campus.
Okay. Correct me if I was having a difficulty making that out a little bit. It was your first question. Once this is done, can either party reverse the step that we're being asked to take today?
That's correct.
Okay. The answer is yes, but through the normal process. So it couldn't be once Exalt holds the charter, it can ask to amend or rescind its charter consistent with any other charter that it may hold. It could, with the approval of this body, voluntarily assign the charter to another entity, but as Commissioner Smith had pointed out, the entity currently holding that charter would not be eligible to hold a charter in Arkansas, so it couldn't be, strictly speaking, reversed. If it were going to be assigned again in the future, it would need to be assigned to a qualified entity.
Okay.
The exigency issue is as was mentioned, it was very, very recently, a matter of days, where it's come to the department's attention that the entity no longer has the 501c3 status, and so that is the source of the exigency. We need to make sure that the students are served and the faculty and staff are compensated, and so that is why you're being asked to take this action now rather than in a future meeting.
Thank you.
Dr. Duncan, did you have any questions for Mr. Schultz? No?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any questions that we would like to ask of the charter? That would be Ms. Long, the superintendent.
I don't know if this is a question for today, since I know that they've put together a pretty extensive proposal that comes on Thursday for an amendment. But I probably will have a lot of questions on Thursday about what this looks like beyond the assignment for the, sort of the short-term period, and how this plays into their long-term plan facility-wise, in terms of the, students and where they'll be assigned and all of that. So I think those aren't questions pertinent to today's decision, but I definitely think there are a lot of questions that we'll need to talk about on Thursday.
That's fair, thank you. Mr. You do have a question? You recognize?
Yeah, well, and again, kind of like Dr. Bacon mentioned, it might be for Thursday, but I'm wondering, if this were to happen today, what would be the communication for students, parents, staff, the community, from the Amfra side and the Exalt side, kind of coming together?
Sure.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tina Long with Exalt Academy. I actually met with Dr. Durant today regarding communication. So a letter was put together that would be released to families, letting them know that the AMFRA Academy would be now under the umbrella of the Exalt Academy families. Just a little context for you. About over 30, between 30 and 40% of the children at AMFRA High School were former Exalt Academy students. So when I went and toured the school, it was all of our old alumni. Since the inception of AMFRA, we have partnered with them as far as having our 8th graders go over to their campus, tour their campus, see what's going on at the campus. They've been a part of our high school fairs. We rent the bus from them. We're right down the road from them. So we've had a really nice working partnership. Exalt has always had the intention of going into high school, but we were waiting until we felt like our K-8 Academy was really solid and where it needed to be. And we do feel like that we're at that point, and that the school's performing at a really high level. And so we were ready to extend into high school because the demand was that our families extend into high school. And when this opportunity came up, it looked to me that AMFRA needed support, and I was most concerned about the teachers and the students in the building. And there's a lot of good people doing good work there that I wanted to continue to support that. Our pathways, our success pathways are a little different, but there actually are quite a few overlaps as well. If you look at the original AMFRA application, there's nursing, and our pathway has nursing in it. So there's some overlap that we can actually merge the two quite nicely together. So that's the conversations that we'll start having with Dr. Durant and I, and we started those conversations today. So we actually kick off our first meeting with their teachers this afternoon after this meeting. And then we have scheduled a parent meeting and a parent letter communication, and then created a Sign Up Genius sheet, like a little QR code where families can scan it and set up individual one-on-one meetings with our for the success plans, so that they can do the pathway, the assignments of their classes and just kind of where they are, and then ask any questions about the additional offerings that Exalt would bring to the table in addition to the AMFRA pathways. So that's some of the communication that started. I know there's a lot more work to be done because honestly, our leadership team at Exalt thought we had another year, but now we're like, hey, let's do it. So.
Dr. Moore, you have a question, you're recognized.
Thank you, Dr. Rodney Murray. So regarding the loss of the 501(c) status, is there anything that we should be made aware of that may affect the daily operations of this, even though it will be under a different charter's purview? Was there anything nefarious, or was it just oversight, or was there some gross negligence, like anything that would affect the daily operations, even with it being under this other charter?
Daryl Smith, the Department of Education. To the best of our knowledge, there's been nothing nefarious or illegal. I think it was just an oversight and maybe poor management that created this issue. So we don't feel like, in talking with Tina and obviously the legal team and with AMFRA, that there would be anything that would be a detriment to the incoming school.
Thank you.
So it's my understanding that this would probably be for legal, but that the AMFRA, we would come under our LEA number. so that we could pay their teachers directly, and then that, transfer of receiving of foundation funds as well. We don't want the teachers to, miss a payroll, so.
Daniel Schultz, Department Counsel. I hesitate to speak to the LEA number, although my understanding is consistent with that. But yes, you would, once in place, there would be no impediment to the department dispersing funds pursuant to the contract, as you would expect in any other case.
And so I just, just listening to comments from legal and then testimony from Ms. Long, this just sounds like this is an opportunity for us to be able to ensure that the students that are attending the other charter and the teachers that are working there and staff are supported through the end of this year. And then there will probably, I would imagine, be further discussions after that point of how to move forward, but we're just trying to make sure that there's support in place for those individuals that are either attending or working through the other charter. And just so that I'm clear, from what we've heard from legal is that from the statute that it is to hold the adult charter harmless through this transition, and that there is statute available that allows this to take place as we're doing it today. Correct?
That is correct. It's 623-501. That subchapter is what deals with this issue, and assignment as one of the options of how a charter can be transferred, or the arrangements between charter schools and the state is clearly provided for in code, as is the concern about the new charter being held responsible for the action of the old charter. Code clarifies that is not I guess a power that's given to this body, that they have that harmless provision provided.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. Are there any other questions for Igor?
Can I just, Dr. Wright McMurray, this is John Bacon. Can I just ask
Yep.
that whatever that statute is, could that be shared with us? I'd really like to look at it and familiarize myself better with it. Just for the future, have a better understanding. What was just mentioned by Mr. Schultz?
I was just simply referring to the Arkansas Quality Charter Schools Act of 2013 as amended, but we can make sure that is provided to you, and I can flag the relevant provisions.
Yeah, that relevant piece, I'd love to take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for legal or the charter? And I saw that Dr. Duncan said that she's going to hold the rest of her questions until Thursday for the charter. Okay. All right. Okay, so with that, if I don't see any further questions, then I'll accept a motion on the request by Arkansas Military and First Responders Academy to have their contract transferred to Exalt.
I move that we approve the request to transfer Arkansas Military First Responder Academy. Sorry, I didn't have it in front of me, so AMFRA, to move their contract over under Exalt Charter.
I second that.
Okay, so I have a motion by Dr. Moore and a second by Ms. Stewart. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, okay. So all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion passes. So if we could now go to our voting sheets and indicate how you voted and reasoning. I will start with Ms. Stewart.
Yes. Edie Stewart, I voted for. I vote for this motion due to AMFRA's loss of nonprofit status. This will allow for AMFRA students to continue to be served and teachers to be compensated through the end of the school year.
Thank you. Dr. Moore.
I vote to approve Arkansas Military and Fire First Responders Academy request to voluntarily transfer their charter to Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock. This will limit disruptions to student learning as well as teacher staff employment and remuneration. As a proud wife and mother of multiple military and first responders, I see extreme value in the unique opportunities provided by AMFRA.
Dr. Bacon.
While I'm less than confident in my own understanding of the process presented today, I believe it's in the best interest of students and families served by AMFRA that we take this action, so I voted for it.
Thank you. Dr. Bashirs.
I voted for recommending AMFRA's contract be transferred, allowing for continuous service for students and families.
Thank you. Ms. Newton.
I voted for the transfer from AMFRA to Exalt. The plans for transferring with a charter are comprehensive and answer legal, educational, and other concerns about operations.
And then I vote for, I support the motion to transfer AFRA their contract to Exalt Academy for the purpose of fiscal and operations management. These two entities have worked closely together as well. Exalt is familiar with the population of students and their families. This relationship should ensure a smooth transition for students, staff, and families. So I do not see any further business that we need to address today. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, great. So I have a motion by Ms. Newton and a second by Dr. Moore. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? No? Okay, great. So the ayes have it. We stand adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for hopping on today and helping us to resolve this issue. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, see you guys Thursday.